back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson, and for you folks at home, it may not seem like it's been that long, but for me, it's felt like an eternity since we've done a race recap. And we're still not recapping any races today. We will be looking at the preseason to all 8 series that we recap by looking at the new schedule changes, driver changes, and even some new faces coming into the motorsports world. So, we're going to start off this video. There'll be 3 parts. This will be part number 1 with the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Part 2 will be in a few days with our open-wheel drivers, or the cars, IndyCar and Formula 1. And we'll round it out in a few more days after that, part 3, ARCA Menard series. So we're going to start with the Truck series. It'll be on the right side of your screen. That's their schedule. They have about 23 races this year. Not too many new races, but, they'll start out Daytona on Friday, February 18th. Still going to be on Fox Sports 1, really, most of the whole year, actually. And their playoffs will begin at Lucas Oil Raceway. And if you'll remember, the ARCA Menard series raced at Lucas Oil a few years ago. It's about a pretty short track, so it'll be a fun race there. Also, in the middle of summer, July, it'll be the Truck Series at Mid-Ohio. First time they've ever been there, Mid-Ohio before, so that'll be a fun one to look forward to. Also, some returning tracks. They'll be at Knoxville again, the dirt track, but this time in June. Right after that, they'll be at Nashville, a great race last year. Also, they'll be going out west to Sonoma with the Cup Series at the beginning of June, so lots of new tracks here for the road courses in the Truck Series this year. Now let's look at the drivers in the Truck Series. So, good amount of new drivers, just driver changes even. So the 02 will be piloted by Jesse Little. The 9 will be Blaine Perkins. We saw him a couple times in the Xfinity Series last year, full-time in the trucks this year. The 12 will be Spencer Boyd. The 16 used to be Austin Hill, but he's moved up to the Xfinity Series, so Tyler Ankrum will come into his place. Grant Enfinger, who did not run full-time last year, will be running full-time this year in the number 23 truck. And yes, fan favorite Matt DiBenedetto will come down to the Truck Series and pilot the number 25 truck. The 30 will be Tate Vogelman. Vogelman was in the 12 last year, but he'll switch over to the 30 this year. Zane Smith will be in the 38 truck this year. Todd Gilliland moving up to the Cup Series. The 44 will be Dean Thompson going for Rookie of the Year in the Nice Motorsports truck. Also, Lawless Allen will be in the 45 Nice Motorsports truck going for Rookie of the Year. We saw them both a couple times last season. Also, the 61 will be Chase Purdy this year. He'll be leaving the 23 and heading over there. And then a new truck this year, the 91, will be Colby Howard. He was in at the 9 truck a few times last year, but he'll be in the 91 this year. Alright, so now let's move on to the Xfinity Series. Okay, so there will be 33 races in the Xfinity Series this year, and not many schedule changes at all, really, but the one I'm really looking forward to is June 4th. They'll be going for the first time at Portland International Speedway. And if you remember, the IndyCar race last year was very chaotic, so just think how the Xfinity Series will handle there. And their playoffs will begin down there in September at Texas Motor Speedway. And aside from that, not many schedule changes, but there are some broadcasting changes. If you remember last year, they were on NBC and NBCSN. This year, a majority of their second half races will all be on the channel USA, so look out for that. Alright, so let's look at the new drivers, and there are a whole bunch of drivers and driver changes in the Xfinity Series. The one car, Michael Annett, he'll be stepping away from the sport, doing other things, so Sam Mayer will come into that car full-time. Sheldon Creed, who will be in the number 2 this year, moved up from the Truck Series. Bailey Curry will be in the number 4 this year. Landon Castle was given a huge opportunity to be in the number 10 colleague car full-time this year. Daniel Hemrick will switch over to the 11 colleague car, be his teammate. Austin Hill will move up from the Truck Series and pilot the number 21 car. The 23 will be Anthony Alfredo this year. Anthony was in the Cup Series last year. He'll be moving back down to the Xfinity Series. The 26 car will be a couple drivers in that this year. John Hunter Nemechek will be one. Also, Jeffrey Earnhardt and Ryan Truex. The 27 is Jeb Burton. 27 will be Jeb Burton this year. Burton was in the number 10 last season, but he'll move down to the Hour Motorsports 27. The 31 will be Mike Snyder this year. That's a Jordan Anderson racing mobile. Snyder was in the 2 last year. Shane Lee will be part-time in the number 35. Joey Gase and Patrick Emerlin actually teamed up to make their own team. They'll be the number 35 and the number 53. Joey will actually run the Daytona race, or at least try to qualify into it in the 53 car. In the 38, there'll be 2 drivers in that for most of the season. Parker Redsloff will run about 10 races, and CJ McLaughlin will run about 14 in that 38 car. Tommy Joe Martins and Cesar Baccarella teamed up to make Alpha Prime Racing. They'll join forces to be in the number 44 and the number 45 car. Tommy Joe and Baccarella will both run the 44. Also will Ryan Ellis and ARCA Menard Series driver Raja Caruth. In the number 45, Ryan Ellis will also be there. So will IndyCar driver Sage Karam and Kaz Grala. Also, Josh Williams will step aside from his team and be in the number 78 BJ McLeod Motorsports car. And lastly, the 91 will be Mason Massey. So, there are still going to be our full-time drivers and actually a few part-time drivers they'll take in a couple of races this year as well. Alright, so now let's move on to the Cup Series. Okay, so the Cup Series will consist of 36 races, not counting the Clash, Duels, and the All-Star race. Take a look at the schedule here. Of course, you can pause the video anytime. You'll see this right here. But you'll see the first race, or the first event, is the Clash, but it's not going to be at Daytona this year. It's going to be at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which, if you know what Bowman Gray Stadium is, it's going to be like that. So it'll be a crazy event there. We will, of course, recap that. Also, they'll be going to Gateway for the first time. The Cup Series will be there with the Truck Series in the beginning of June. That'll be a fun race. Also, once again, they'll be heading back to the Bristol Dirt Track. Remember how fun that was last year, along with COTA. Also, the All-Star race will be once again held in Texas this year, and the playoffs will begin at the short track of Darlington. Alright, so let's look at the driver changes and even some new drivers. So the 1 car will be Ross Chastain this year. He'll be from the 42 car. The 2 will be Austin Cindric, so the Xfinity Series driver will come up to the 2 Penske car. And Brad Keselowski was in that car last year. He'll move over to the 6 car at Roush Fenway Racing. Ryan Newman was given an opportunity to come back, but he has not responded, so it doesn't look like Ryan Newman will be returning in 2022. Also in the 16 car, that'll be running most of the races, if not all of them, but it'll be by multiple drivers. AJ Allmendinger will run some. Also, Daniel Hemrick and Noah Gragson. And their teammates from last year, the 21 this year will be Harrison Burton. So Matt Benedetto, of course, going down to the Truck Series, and Burton will be driving that car. Justin Haley will be running full-time this year in the Cup Series. It's probably going to be in the 31 car, colleague car, but we're not sure quite what number, but most likely the 31. The 38 will be Todd Gillen. He moved all the way up from the Truck Series to be here. The 42 will be Ty Dillon, and he'll be teammates with the 43 car, Eric Jones. Also, the 2311 car, Bubba Wallace, will be teammates with the new car, the 45 of Kurt Busch. And lastly, the 77 will most likely be Josh Bilicki for most of the races, but in those he's not there, like the 500, Landon Castle will be driving in that car. Well, that's all for Race Recap. Come join us in just a couple of days when we do Preseason Part Number 2, IndyCar and Formula 1.